Hi, welcome to Wheels in the Wilderness. I'm Aislinn, and David's behind the camera. We're joined today by our grandson Kieran, and we're here with Marianne, who is the founder of the Cross New Hampshire Adventure Trail. And she was kind enough to decide she was going to ride with us today. So we're very excited about that. So I have some questions. First off, what inspired you to develop this trail?
Well, I enjoy traveling by bicycle. I find it's a great way to really experience a place. You get to really see stuff. You're going along slowly enough to be able to absorb what's around. So I have traveled all around the U.S. and some other countries too, by bicycle or by walking. And I've done a lot of these long distance rail trail systems, like the C&O Gap that goes from Washington, D.C. all the way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool.
And the Erie Canal Trail from Albany to Buffalo. The Katy Trail in Missouri. There's a lot of these long distance rail trails, and they're getting longer and longer all the time because the popularity of rail trails has gotten, good. And people are saying, well, why can't it come through our town?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I spend my entire vacation budget traveling to go somewhere else to ride, a little bit longer distance multi-day rides or walks on trails. And so I thought, well, we in New Hampshire here have some of the nicest scenery around. It compares very well with everything else I've seen out there. And I just thought we needed something like that here to inspire people to come and spend a few days and have the time to enjoy the beauty that we have up here. So I saw what the Cross Vermont Trail team was doing over there. They're piecing together existing rail trails, nice back roads, whatever it takes to be able to go from Lake Champlain across the state and ending at the Connecticut River in Wells River. They spend a lot of time building new trail because obviously they have to be on some roads, but with little bits of work here and there, they can build a trail, and they're working their way from one border to the other. And I've been over there. I liked what they're doing, and I asked them one day, who's taking this across New Hampshire? Is anybody trying to take this idea of linking the communities off-road as much as possible? And they said they didn't know of anyone, obviously because they're spending so much time focused on Vermont. And they said, why don't you do it? And I said, well, okay, so I did.
That's awesome.
So as you know, because you just did this, you finished in Bethel, Maine. And you probably did, I don't know, maybe about 14 miles or so in Maine. So everyone asks me, why didn't I just stop at the border? And I'm just wondering, did you notice the border when you went through? Probably not.
No.
It's very hard to notice. There actually is a little granite post that has an M on one side and an N on the other. It's probably been there, I don't know,
100, 200 years?
Probably. And that's the border. There's no parking, there's no lodging, there's no ice cream, none of that. And so I kept the trail going on that nice road, a north road, until it gets to Bethel. And I call that the end point at the moment because you can park your car there and stay overnight, stay in a campground, get a nice meal.
What would be neat is if somebody hooked up there and went up the coast to cross Maine.
Well, we're working on that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we are working on it with the group over there with Inland Woods and Trails, Gabe Perkins and his crew. We are extending it eastward, and we want to go right now into Lewiston. That's the current plan. We also have a plan to go to Portland, and we can do both. In both cases, it connects up with the East Coast Greenway, which is the 3,000-mile route from Canada down the East Coast that ends in Key West, Florida. And with that, they're trying the same thing. As much off-road as possible. See, I'm putting ideas in your head, I'm sure. You're
yes.
drooling already, I can tell. Excellent. Me too. and they're trying to go as off-road as possible. I think they're in the 50%, maybe a little less at this point. But every year there's another chunk, another mile, another 3 miles here and there. So slowly, the idea is to connect all the communities together and to have a off-road pathway, which works for recreation, it works for transportation.
Yeah.
You might want to just take your bicycle or a walk or your scooter to go to the post office, and you can go down a nice trail, not down the side of the highway with all the cars.
Yeah.
If I had that option where I lived, I would be doing it, and I'm sure a lot of people would too.
Yeah.
But a lot of our towns and cities have been designed around getting in a car and going down to the post office.
They have.
But wouldn't it be nicer? So East Coast Greenways kind of has that philosophy in there too. So we wanted to connect up with that. So you can connect up the East Coast Greenway on the east side. On the west, we connect to the Cross Vermont Trail, which then, if you cross Lake Champlain, you're now on the Empire State Trail system of New York. And that's 750 miles of interconnected bike routes and canal trails.
Very cool.
So, and then beyond.
Yeah.
So
let's cross this whole country.
Yep. And there's
Raised for these.
There's a lot of different kinds of grants. There's some government interest, transportation alternatives. A part of the transportation budget is set aside for non-motorized and alternate transportation than a car or a truck. Small amounts, we could use more. We could advocate for as much of that as we can. But people, as they start to see these trails come through, they're going to say, well, that's cool. I want to do that
I
too.
would like to participate.
Yeah. Instead of, I think a lot of the reaction is, not in my backyard. I don't want those bicycle people, over, near my property. And they find out that actually we're pretty darn quiet, and we're better than just having these abandoned rail lines go to waste and end up being as a garbage dump.
Yeah.
So that's why I did this. It's a long-winded answer for you. But
no, I think that's awesome. The first time that I heard about anything like this was I heard about the Cowboy Trail, which is a 200-mile trail, and that kind of sparked my interest. And I told my husband, I said, I'm tired of getting left behind. But I can't do something like the AT, or the Pacific Crest Trail because they're not accessible. The rail trail systems, for the most part, are. And so when we heard about this, the Cross New Hampshire Trail, the story that I heard was about the Vermont Trail, and then someone mentioned that you had done one here, and I grabbed him and I was like, we have got to find out about this. I want to do this, so you said that there is a section that you suggested we skipped.
yes,
Where is it, and why do you suggest we skip it?
right. I've tried to make this as off-road and as if it had to be on a road, a dirt road, or a really quiet paved road, no or low traffic kind of road. And it's
safety.
not always for safety and for enjoyment. It's not enjoyable to have tractor-trailer trucks going, 55 miles an hour, or cars or camper vehicles or whatever going 55 miles an hour. And I think even for the drivers, they see, oh my gosh, there's a bicyclist on the side. I'm going to be careful. So it probably works best for everybody if we say, okay, the cars and trucks are over here, and we bicycles and pedestrians and scooters and wheelchairs and baby strollers and dog walkers and equestrians and skiers and snowmobiles and everything are over here.
Yeah.
So I have a section on this Cross New Hampshire that I have to use because there really is no good alternative. And it's a section between the town of Littleton and the town of Wakefield, and it's Route 116, which is basically a major route through the North Country here. Everybody travels it because otherwise it's these little back roads. So there's, it's a busy, noisy route, and not having any choice at this point, I just say, okay, road riders, you've got a shoulder, you've got good pavement, there's good lines of sight, be good doobies, single file, keep your eyes out and go for it, and just know that we are working on making a rail trail. as you're riding on that road, or even if you're driving at it, you'll see there's an abandoned rail line there. Tracks and ties are there. It's all overgrown. It goes right by the river. So we've successfully managed to get 4.4 miles of that done.
Awesome.
So out of the 11. So that just opened up officially, I guess, a few weeks ago. The Bureau of Trails, the New Hampshire Bureau of Trails, was responsible for this. They ditched it, crowned it, graded it, and did vibratory packing. So it's not a hard-packed stone dust surface. It's not paved, any of that. We don't seem to do that up here. A lot of that pavement doesn't work very well for snowmobiles in the winter.
Right.
So, we work together on that. And
during mud season, it just gone.
Well, the Railbed actually is very good. The people who designed the railbeds, the way they designed the rocks and the various types of substrate in there, and the grading, the water just goes off to the side like the duck's back, and the water's
awesome.
running on the side. So with proper maintenance and care, the rail trail can last a long time. People now can go out there and enjoy it, and you're going to see it later today.
Okay.
And it's beautiful along the river. It's really nice. There's trestle bridges there. A lot of railroad history. It's kind of these linear museums of railroad history on these rail trails. So, cool. So the reason why is I want you to be all on rail trail. I don't want you to have to deal with riding on riding your scooter on the side of the highway. And the promise is that you just come back, because we will make another 2.6 miles next year, and then we will be continuing to bring this in and connect it up. So we'll be off of that. That road is not the spirit of the Cross New Hampshire Adventure Trail.
Right.
So it is a goal of the organization to get people off of that and onto the rail trail.
Awesome.
And we have the community. We have a lot of community support for doing this too. So it just takes a little time and takes a lot of money.
Yeah. So what can we individuals do to help promote this endeavor, these types of things across the country?
Right. Well,
not just here, but in your home state.
Yeah. Well, if you have a rail trail or an abandoned rail line in your community, either support it, go out there, pick trash, be out there, tell people, take your family out there, enjoy it, and show your town and the county and the community that it is a real asset for the community, and that you can use it to go to the post office, and to the ice cream store, and to the supermarket, as an alternate transportation source.
Promotes tourism.
Yeah. I'm more likely to stay in a motel that's close to a rail trail. I'll go out and I can, right from there, I can take a walk back and forth. I don't have to really know the map of the town very well. I know I can just go out on the rail trail and take a walk or take a bike ride and come back. Easy enough. So I think that's important. If the community has a rail trail with a friends group, join it. Put a little money into the pot to help with maintenance and everything. That's good. And if you don't have a rail trail, then maybe ask why, and ask, if your community has some kind of recreation pathway, as a canal path or just a walkway, to try to advocate for more of these safe, quiet, pleasant places to go to recreate and to get, to transport yourself from place to place.
From point A to point B.
As an alternative to being in a car.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you so much for making the time to come ride with us.
Well,
we were
a day like today,
so excited.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was so anxious to see it, because I did not really think about accessibility. I knew that here in Pondicherry that it is accessible, and the rail trail and everything, but it just hadn't occurred to me. And then when I heard about you, this is really amazing, and you've gone through some pretty rugged stuff. There's some parts of this route would be considered kind of mountain biking, but you still got through there.
Yeah, but I have a really robust scooter, and we specifically looked for a robust scooter. And that's one of the things that this channel is about, is teaching not just the disabled community and saying these are the resources available to you, but also the able-bodied community. And like you said, you hadn't considered it. You're able-bodied. Why would you?
Right.
So if we can raise awareness for the needs of the able-bodied and the disabled, That's awesome, because getting out into nature is good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health. It's good for your spiritual health.
That's right. Absolutely.
So, okay. It is starting to get a little warm, so we're going to
And
get
buggy.
back on the trail. Yeah, lots of bugs here in the wetlands.
Well, it's a wildlife refuge.
It is.
So they're wildlife too. And the
This
bird
is-
population is really big here because obviously they have plenty to eat.
Lots of bugs
deer.
to eat. So this is the Pondicherry
Wildlife,
Wildlife Refuge.
Whitefield and Jefferson.
Isn't this gorgeous, people? Just so beautiful.
There's
Okay.
Mount Washington right over there. Washington, yep, on the right side with the radio towers. No, it's not always clear.
That's awesome.
Washington, Jefferson, Adams, and then
The presidential.
presidential mountain.
Okay, well, it is hot and buggy, and we're going to get back on the trail now
Okay.
that we've had our lunch. And so let's head on out. So thanks for joining us today. And remember to chase your dreams, challenge your limits, and choose joy.